Battle Through the Heavens, Grand World. Chapter 149 The Origin of the Shao Clan. Mount Zihua is surrounded by clouds, and the mountains are majestic. Green trees were everywhere, and they were located in the west side of Spiritual Sky City. It was called the Holy Land of Martial Arts in Spiritual Sky City. Every year, when new disciples were recruited, many people broke their heads and squeezed in. It was precisely because of this that the disciples recruited by the Purple Radiance sect were all very talented. Over the years, there were as many experts as the clouds in the Purple Radiance sect. It seemed like they had become the true overlord of the Spiritual Sky City. The low golden feathered eagle let out a sharp cry, and slowly landed on a square paved with limestone on the peak of the mountain. It then stood on the ground. Xiao Yan looked around. There were many buildings in the surroundings. Beside the mountain, there were huge trees and trees. The trees were so thick that it seemed as if they could cover the entire world. Vaguely, the sound of disciples from the Purple Radiance sect practicing could be heard from afar, and their imposing manner soared into the sky. "Let's go to the main hall. Father is waiting for you there." Xiao Yu got off the golden feathered eagle, and led Xiao Yan away with familiarity. "Who is that guy? He looks younger than us, but he is walking with young master." Seeing Xiao Yan and Xiao Yu walking away, one of the disciples couldn't help but ask. Another disciple patted the golden feathered eagle's big head and asked it to fly away without answering his question. Instead, he let out a long sigh and said with a longing expression, "I heard that there were 2 heavenly sovereign level warriors who broke into the pill competition's venue today. The former chairman of the Alchemist Association and the Spirit Heaven Mansion's master had both appeared. He didn't know what was going on. A battle between 4 heavenly sovereign warriors. Just thinking about it made his blood boil. When can I have that kind of strength?" The disciple who asked the question couldn't help but laugh out loud. "Are you kidding me? The sect chief is merely a monarch cultivation warrior. Why do you still want to become a heavenly sovereign? What a beautiful dream." His fantasy was interrupted, and the disciple lowered his head in disappointment. He looked in the direction where Xiao Yan and Xiao Yu had left, shook his head, and walked towards the training square with his companions. Along the way, Xiao Yu didn't tell Xiao Yan what his father wanted to talk to him about. Instead, he introduced all kinds of buildings in Purple Radiance sect to Xiao Yan. Although he had stayed in the Spiritual Sky City for a long time, Xiao Yu wasn't unfamiliar with this place. He brought Xiao Yan along and shuttled back and forth on the winding road. Very quickly, a grand hall appeared in front of the two of them. Inside the hall, the sandalwood was quietly burning. A refreshing smell hit their faces. Xiao Wang was sitting on a chair in the hall, flipping through an ancient book. "Father, Xiao Yan is here." Hearing Xiao Yu's voice, Xiao Wang slowly raised his head and looked at Xiao Yan behind Xiao Yu. A smile appeared on his face as he looked at Xiao Yu. "How is it?" Xiao Yu smiled bitterly and nodded when he heard him. "Father is right. Mr. Xiao broke through from Fighting Key Continent." Xiao Yan frowned when he heard the conversation between the two. When he recalled the expression on Xiao Yu's face after asking him, he immediately understood what was going on. "Xiao Yan, come here." Xiao Wang slowly closed the ancient book in his hand and put it away. He pointed to the seat next to him and said to Xiao Yan. Although Xiao Yan was shocked, he still walked over. According to Xiao Yan's thoughts, Xiao Wang was also curious about why Fighting Key Continent hadn't broken through to the Fighting Monarch realm in nearly 10,000 years, just like how Elder Yi was surprised in the past. Are you from the Xiao clan in the Fighting Key Continent?" As soon as Xiao Yan sat down, Xiao Wang impatiently asked. He stared at Xiao Yan with a serious expression. "What?" Xiao Yan was shocked when he heard this. He said in surprise, "Senior, how did you know about the Xiao clan in Fighting Key Continent?" Xiao Wang smiled when he heard this. "That's right. Not only do I know about the Xiao clan in Fighting Key Continent, I also know about the Gu clan, the Spirit-Devouring race, and the Dark Flame Ancient Dragon race." After hearing Xiao Wang's short words, Xiao Yan's mouth immediately became dry. It took him a long time before he said, "The Gu clan that Senior mentioned. The Fighting Key Continent does exist. As for the Spirit-Devouring race, they have already disappeared for tens of thousands of years before this junior advanced. As for that Dark Flame Ancient Dragon, this junior has never heard of it." Xiao Wang couldn't help but sigh when he heard this. He smiled and said, I didn't expect that the weakest Gu clan would still exist, but the descendants of the spirit-devouring race and the ancient dark flame dragon have declined. Xiao Yan calmed the shock in his heart and looked at Xiao Wang. Senior. What do you mean? Xiao Wang sighed and said, you might not believe me, but what I said is the truth. Since you have advanced from the Fighting Key continent and are also a disciple of the Xiao clan, there is no doubt that you have the blood of the Xiao clan flowing in your body. Hong Long. These words were like a bolt of lightning that exploded in Xiaoyan's mind. He opened his mouth. Xiaoyan's face was filled with disbelief. Xiao Wang's solemn expression didn't seem like he was joking, but what was the Xiao clan of the Great World? What was the relationship between the Xiao clan of Fighting Key continent and the Xiao clan of the Great World? Xiao Wang raised his head and looked outside the main hall. After pondering for a moment, he said slowly, according to the ancient records of the clan, millions of years ago, the war in the Great World didn't stop, and all kinds of powers attacked each other. This led to the deaths of countless people. At that time, the Xiao clan was at its most prosperous period. There were 3 ultimate saint experts in the family. There were also dozens of heavenly sovereign experts. As for monarch cultivation, there were countless of sovereign realm experts, but even so, there is still a risk of being wiped out. At that time, there was a life and death battle between 2 experts who had surpassed the peak of the saint realm in the battle domain. The self-destruction of one of the experts had almost destroyed the entire battle domain. The other expert was also severely injured and had disappeared without a trace. Due to the tremendous power of the self-destruction, space itself was unable to heal for a long time. To think that the passageway between the Great World and the lower realm would be opened. Thus, some powers set their sights on it. The fighting monarch that has broken through in the lower world has an extraordinary talent. If nothing unexpected happens after coming to the Great World, it will at least reach the Emperor cultivation. There are even some who can reach the Supreme Saint realm or even a higher realm. Therefore, many of the major powers are thinking of cultivating more fighting monarch from the lower world, which will become their combat strength in the future. Among them, there is the Xiao clan. However, the passageway that connects to the lower realm cannot be entered by the fleshly body. Only the soul body can enter, which means that someone must abandon the fleshly body. Give up everything. At that time, although the Xiao clan seemed powerful, it was also very difficult for them to enter. While everyone was silent, one of the 3 saints willingly gave up everything and descended to the lower realm. Because the soul power of the utmost being saint is stronger, the chances of him cultivating the fighting monarch is also very high. That spatial zone is the passageway that connects to the Fighting Key continent. Later on, although many major powers wanted to send their soul bodies to the lower realm, only a few of them succeeded. A few years later, in the Gu clan's fighting monarch in the Saint Heaven realm, the fighting monarch of the spirit-devouring race in the Mingyan divine domain and the fighting monarch of the spirit domain's dark flame ancient dragon. Later on, they all became the backbone of these forces. In that great war, without the help of the fighting monarch of lower realm, it's very likely that the Xiao clan has already turned into dust in history. After the war ended, the number of fighting monarchs that ascended began to decrease. It was only now that people began to know that with the reproduction of the races in the lower realm, it would be very difficult for them to break through with the help of their bloodline. Until 10,000 years ago, there were no more Fighting Key continents that could ascend in the Fighting Key continent. After saying all that he knew, Xiao Wang looked at Xiao Yan. The latter's face was filled with disbelief, and he didn't say anything for a long time. Xiao Wang sighed. Anyone would find it hard to accept the sudden news. Huff, huff, huff. Xiao Yan's breathing became a little hurried. Xiao Wang's words were like a series of sharp blades that forcefully cut his body. It was as if a huge mountain was pressing down on his chest, causing him to be unable to breathe. What kind of joke was this? The Xiao clan that he was proud of in the lower realm had actually come here like this. Could it be that the so-called 8 Great Gu clan in Fighting Key continent was merely controlled by these superpowers in the Great World? This chapter. It was written with some fear, but no matter what, it had no intention of disobeying the original work. It should be said that under the premise of basic respect, such a plot. In the following battles, the main character met the seniors of the Xiao clan as soon as he arrived in the new world. But this was basically impossible. Since it was a new world, there were all kinds of tangled things. Moreover, the major families in Fighting Key Continent couldn't explain it either. The big world had broken through this concept, and they hoped that it would brighten everyone's eyes. Chapter end. Hi guys, please like, comment, share, and subscribe.